Let's get more on this story. We are joined by Brussels Bureau Chief Max Hofmann and Hans Brandt, our political correspondent here in Berlin. Welcome to both of you. And Max, I'd like to begin with you because this announcement by France, it's essentially a move against Germany. Do we know why Paris is taking this step?
We haven't heard an official explanation yet from the French, but it appears that the arguments are mainly political, and they've been heard before. They're not new. France wasn't really in favor of this project in the past either, but they stuck with Germany. The problem, though, is that it's really splitting the European Union between East and West. Countries like Poland, like the Baltic states, have always been very much against this project because they fear more Russian influence in the European Union. They feel like they're being bypassed, and so this would be one of the arguments. Some say it might be a little revenge even from the French government because Angela Merkel really didn't wholeheartedly support the projects that Emmanuel Macron had for the European Union. Most of them had a slow, painful death in the back rooms of Brussels, Berlin, and also Berlin. And the last one is, but that is, we don't know anything about that yet, factual based, is that there might be some commercial interest because France already has some liquefied natural gas terminals and is intending to build more. So they might be able to receive some of that gas coming from the United States.
Okay, but, regardless of the motivations, if we look at the move overall, Hans, one newspaper here is calling it a disaster for German diplomacy at the EU. Has Berlin misjudged the situation?
Yes, I think one has to say that German diplomacy has misjudged this project, Nord Stream 2. We have to say there is one pipeline already in place, Nord Stream 1, in exactly the same place. This is a second line being built, and that's been pushed through with a lot of power diplomacy from the side of the Germans for several years now. And I think in the end they have misjudged two things. They've misjudged the extent of the resistance within the European Union, and especially now from France. So the coordination with France seems to have been lacking or not done well enough. And the other thing that the Germans, I think, have misjudged is the resistance from the United States, the pressure coming from the United States since Donald Trump took over as president. That's been massive, not only on Germany, but also on other countries in the region, on the European Union as a whole. And I think the results of that are what we are seeing now.
Let's talk a little bit more about that pushback from the United States, because we know that the U.S. ambassador to Germany, also Richard Grenell, said that the Nord Stream essentially makes Germany dependent on Russia. The German Chancellor Angela Merkel responded to that, and here's what she had to say. Let's have a listen.
Will we become dependent on Russia because of this gas pipeline? I say no, if we diversify at the same time. Germany will expand its gas terminals with regard to liquefied gas. That means that we don't want to make ourselves dependent on Russia under any circumstances. But Russia was a source of gas during the Cold War, and it will remain so today, without us entering into one-sided dependence.
So that is how the German Chancellor is responding to her critics. Hans, is that enough?
I think in the end not. I think that does not really address the concerns of many people. We have to see behind this there's some commercial interest from the side of the United States. A lot of gas is being produced there, and the United States is hoping to make Europe a major client for selling that gas. But behind that is also a geostrategic consideration concerning Ukraine. A lot of gas is going through Ukraine at the moment. If this gas bypasses Ukraine, Russia has a handle to put a lot of pressure on Ukraine. And that's obviously been a reason for sanctions against Russia in recent years, a reason for a lot of tension between Europe, the United States and Russia. So this pipeline could ratchet up that tension. And that's also one of the concerns of the critics of this pipeline.
Max, what do you see as the impact on French-German ties? Because, this has, been an axis of strength for Europe until now.
In the beginning, it looked like Emmanuel Macron and Angela Merkel would be the new dream team in the European Union. But slowly, many observers noticed that the two weren't aligned on the political goals. And this is probably the biggest blow to that friendship ever since. It comes at a time, just 2.5 weeks after they signed a new friendship treaty, the follow-up to the Élysée Treaty in Aachen, and I was there, and it says in that treaty that both would now try to align on big EU projects before decisions. This has obviously not worked here. And at the same time, we don't know if that's a coincidence or not. Emmanuel Macron will not go to the Munich Security Conference, where he was scheduled to appear together with Angela Merkel. So this might not be the new low point of German-French, Franco-German friendship in the European Union, but it seems to be the new low point of those two. Going forward, it'll be interesting to see if they work this out. But really, this project is so important for the Germans. It's been going on for so long with so much resistance that it's really hard to see how they will overcome this blow in the new future.
Max Hofmann in Brussels, Hans Brandt in Berlin. Thank you so much to both of you.